Good afternoon, and thank you for joining myself, Thomas Isole, founder, co-owner here at Trifecta Coffee Company. And this afternoon, we're here on Easter Sunday, and I have Erin Garrison from Food is Free Albuquerque on Zoom with us. And we wanted to talk a little bit with you, Erin, about some of the work that you've been doing. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining.
Good afternoon, Thomas.
This is pretty nice to be able to meet socially distant and get a chance to see what you guys are up to. Before we get started, so you and we met at Roots Farm Cafe. You were working there quite a few years ago. And that was when I discovered that you guys were doing what was called, and I didn't know there was a word for it, but gleaning of food. So tell us a little bit about what that is and kind of maybe a quick history of Food is Free, and then how you guys started your own chapter.
So quick history on Food is Free. It started in Austin, Texas. It started off as front yard gardens with signs that just said food is free, take what you need. And it's now grown into an international movement that fresh food is a human right. And it's taken on many forms. And with our group, we started with gleaning. My partner and I, who founded this program, we went out to harvest trees because we were both canners at the time, and we put it out on Craigslist, and we had about 10 people respond. And the first 2 trees that we harvested, we took about 200 pounds, and I'm not good at math, but I can do apple math, and that was too many apples.
That was a lot. I've done cherry picking, and I've done strawberry, and it's tough.
It's tough. And so we just started giving it away. And since we'd already been following the Food is Free project, we asked if we could use that name. And so that's how we started. We've never canned again. And last year in 2019, we harvested over 14,000 pounds of human edible food. That we have a pretty good network now. We distribute to places like St. Martin's and Steel Bridge and Good Shepherd. We help in the support of some smaller food banks. We've also begun to do accessible gardens. Local businesses such as Trifecta Coffee have sponsored front yard gardens to make gardening accessible for folks. We also are working on a completely edible community park in the city. And with this pandemic, we've started a new program, which is the Gift of Growing, which I think we're going to talk about in a little bit. So It's kind of a brief synopsis of who we are.
Now, some of the sponsors I saw on your site, and just for everybody's ability, you can go to, it's fifabq.org. And you guys have a bunch of projects going on up there. There's a projects link. Three Sisters and Little Green Bucket. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with those guys and how you work with them?
So Three Sisters, we met them last year, and we donated some corn, maybe some squash and some apples into their programming. So that relationship is still developing, and we're super excited. What Three Sisters has going on is amazing.
Now, are they actually open now, still producing food, or do you know how they're doing?
I do not.
Okay.
I am not aware. So, and then Little Green Bucket, our collaboration with Little Green Bucket has been really great because we love compost. One of the things that we do in our gleaning operation is we clean up the floor, and we get all of we call them the composties, and we scoop up all the compostables, and we get them out to farms to feed to the animals, or we get them out to people who are just as passionate about composting as we are, so that nothing goes to waste. That's our biggest thing, is that nothing is going to waste, and we're utilizing all of the resources that we have available. So Little Green Bucket just recently announced that some of his customers had chosen to donate their soil shares with our organization to support our Gift of Growing program. And then Mandy's Farm also donated their shares to our organization to support our Gift of Growing as well. So it's been a really exciting partnership with Little Green Bucket. We just adore them. So
well, you directed us. I can't remember the gentleman's name that I spoke to. Who is it that runs that organization?
That'd be Brad.
Brad. So I spoke to Brad at your suggestion, and we had to put a pause on because remember we were talking about we wanted to reduce our packaging when the whole plastic bag initiative came in, and then we started looking at recycling. And I'll be honest with you, we've kind of taken a shift. I think we're going to try to go as much compostable, period. The recycling model does not seem to be working after I saw a frontline show that shows that over all these years, probably less than 10% of plastics have actually ever been recycled. So,
oh, wow. I did not know that.
And it turns out that in France, they're working at a national level to try to encourage packaging that basically says that if you can compost it in your garden, then that's good packaging. So we started basically just getting our coffee bags changed over. We're getting rid of all our plastic clamshells. We've got bamboo lids. The folks over at Roots Farm pointed us in that right direction. And so it'll be a slow process, of course, but we definitely we think we're in the right direction. And so once we have it figured out, I think we're going to be calling up those guys over at Little Green Bucket.
Nice. That's really exciting. Like I said, I love composting. So I hate throwing things away. I really do. I hate throwing things away. And I'm gonna segue for just a minute because I think it's appropriate. Yesterday, because I don't throw things away, so I tend to ruin paintbrushes. Right. And I feel bad about ruining them. So I just have a box of ruined paintbrushes. Because if I throw them away, I'll feel bad.
Right.
Well, yesterday I needed sticks to hold up tomato plants.
Wow.
And so I just used ruined paintbrushes to hold up the tomato plants. It worked out great.
Why not? I mean, saves you from going to Home Depot, which you're not supposed to be doing anyways. So.
Right. Yeah. I was like, I stood in the garage and I was like, I bet there's something in here I can use. And then I saw the box of ruined paintbrushes and I was like, look, they have a purpose and my hoarding finally paid off.
So when this whole thing started with COVID-19, you were looking for burlap and we had a modest supply because you were basically building gardens in a box. Can you share with everybody what is going on? Because you've been busy for the last few weeks.
Yeah, we've been really busy. So the week that the schools shut down, we had decided to put a pause on our programming and our social gatherings as was, being advised through, our local government and through the CDC. And as an organization, we weren't really quite sure what direction we were going to be going in. And when our organization first started, we did our first community gathering building garden boxes. That was the first thing we ever did. So I asked my my husband if he would help me come up with an easy to do pallet box garden. He said yes. And we started building some boxes. We were using the burlap from Trifecta to haul the dirt. Because what I wanted to do is I wanted to give a gardening box to families it was multi-leveled. I wanted kids to be able to paint it and make it beautiful. I wanted families to be able to, start a garden and not have to go to a store to do it. I really wanted to provide them with everything they needed so they didn't have to go out in public. That's been really, really, really important to me. We've used the burlap to haul the dirt. We shovel the dirt into the burlap sacks and then leave them for families so they can fill up their boxes. And we give them seeds. We've also been giving people plants as well. And, you know, that's how it started. And then we started using the burlap as a liner. You know, it was a free resource.
It makes good sunshade too, by the way, in case you didn't ever think of using it that way.
Of what?
The burlap. If it get, you know, if certain things get too much sun exposure, you can.
Right. Yeah, you can use it as a sunshade. You can use it as a liner inside of the box, like to help hold the dirt in and protect the wood a little bit. There's just so many uses for burlap. So yeah, the burlap has like been just a lifesaver. You know, it helped us line the boxes when we were using the pallets. And
Now, how many boxes have you built?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I'd have to look at my Google form. I mean, right now I'm sitting on top of, there must be 11 there, 11 plus 5, it's 16, 22 boxes right now.
And you've distributed several already, right? You've already been, how many have you put out in the community?
I think at least 30.
Wow. Wow.
But we're also giving away just garden pots. So you can sign up on our form to receive garden pots. And we take 3 large pots.
Where do they go on your site? Can you know the link for that, or?
I think it's just, I don't know if she's made a new page for it or if it's just easier to go to our Facebook page and use the pin post. Okay. But there's a Google form on there, and you know, and I can share that link with you too, so you can post it in your blog.
Share it with us. We'll put it on our blog, and we're going to put a newsletter out as well. So you may you may have to say, you know, first come, first serve, right? But this is
so that's kind of the interesting thing, is that we started this, like I said, you know, the boxes were something to keep my hands busy during the whole COVID-19 has been an extremely stressful time, you know, for everybody. I don't know anybody who has not felt the effects of what is happening in our world. Exactly. So the box program for me was to keep my own hands busy. And it was something that I can do. It was something that I could control. And so it brought me a lot of peace. And I wanted to share that, you know, with other people in Albuquerque, because I know that I'm not the only one who's feeling stress. And when KRQE picked up the story, it rocked my world. Our form had about 60 responses on it prior to the KRQE story.
Okay.
After the KRQE story, at 6:30 that morning or 7 or something like that, we had already exceeded 900 responses.
Wow.
By the end of that day, we had exceeded 8,000 responses. We are currently sitting at 9,200 responses on that Google form.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Mm-hmm. So I think we're getting pretty close to reaching 1% served from that list. And like I said, we've been doing the gift of growing in the form of boxes, plants, seeds, and pots. Okay. So, you know, it's not just boxes we're giving away. Oh, and self-watering pots as well. We have a volunteer making those. Okay. So there's, you know, the boxes are a big thing because that was obviously one of the most popular items on the list. But we've given away a lot of pots. We've given away a lot of self-watering pots. We've given away a lot of seeds. We're being supported by Alameda Nursery. They've been donating plants. So now we can give families plants and seeds, as well as whatever the vessel is to grow in. Soillutions has donated soil. So we have plenty of soil to maintain the program. And we're just going to keep going until we run out of supplies or we run out of funds, or for some reason we're told by directive to stop.
What do you need the most right now? What's the biggest assistance that you could get that would help you?
Lumber.
Lumber.
So we did receive some really generous donations that allowed us to move from pallets to lumber, which has allowed us to streamline it, and we can produce the boxes a lot more quickly. Because the pallets, to make 3 pallet boxes, to break down a pile of pallets that big, takes like 3 to 4 hours.
Those nails, they grip, don't they? They don't want to let loose.
They don't want to let loose. And so it takes a lot of energy, to break them apart. So being able to just have lumber, has just made it so much easier. And the volunteer that's building our boxes for us right now, I can barely keep up with him. So, cause he figured out a system, and so he can just really just go for it. But I would say that's the biggest thing we need right now is, support in that lumber department, whether it's funds or whether it's, a gift card, to racks, so that's the biggest thing right now.
Okay. Well, we'll put the word out with our small group of people, and hopefully we'll get more support for you. So.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So, I mean, we're a pretty resourceful group. The COVID-19 era has really shown me just how resourceful and quick to action our little group can be. It's almost like we've been preparing for this for many years.
Let me ask you a question. We see in the news out in Florida and other agricultural states where, farmers are being forced to till produce back into the ground again. What in New Mexico, do you see things differently? Do you see us as New Mexicans doing things a little bit differently, and how has that affected you?
Oh, I mean, oh gosh, our farmers here in New Mexico are awesome. Just awesome. I have not heard or seen any stories that we are tilling food into the ground. And our organization is, super passionate about not wasting. We see resources for what they are, whether they're in the form of, used up paintbrushes or, a stack of burlap sacks. And our farmers are amazing, and they scrambled really fast, and a lot of our farmers weren't sure of the future of the markets. And so they created a CSA system like out of thin air. So they scrambled and they responded. And I that's what I see New Mexico as a whole doing is we've all scrambled and we've all responded in our own, unique ways, whether, it's like your business coming up with an app to order online, to make sure that your business is still being supported by the community. We all had to adapt and we all had to respond. And I think New Mexico as a whole has just done amazingly well.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
So you and I have had conversations offline just about kind of the way we look at food and the availability of food. And now we have, I was just seeing a stat the other day. We're talking about emergency food assistance in Washington State prior to COVID-19 was 800,000 people. And then that immediately shot up to 1.6 million people. So what's Erin's opinion on all of this in the big scheme of things, like even before COVID-19?
So there is enough food in America. We are one of the top producers of food in the world, and there is enough food for everybody. It's a matter of distribution. When we start seeing food being thrown away, that is the sign of a system that's unstable and unsustainable. And I believe, prior to COVID-19, I've believed in encouraging people to grow their own food because it's so empowering to have access. You know, there's so many people who don't have a choice on how to shop for their food, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I believe that every single human on this earth deserves and has a right to eating. Fresh food is a human right. And I believe that communities such as ours that have such great momentum and drive and capability, I believe that we can create a more equitable food system. And that's what I wanted to see before COVID. After COVID, and we started seeing all of the numbers skyrocket, and we saw the panic shopping, you know, it's fear, you know. I think that really showed how fearful we were as a society, that there wouldn't be enough. And I feel that by, you know, giving away seeds, by giving away boxes or pots or whatever have you, that maybe we can quell some of that fear in our community, that we're going to be okay. And we're going to really take care of one another right now, you know, and we can create an abundance together. And I hope that by planting those seeds that we can create an abundance right here, is going to be something that changes everything from this point forward. I don't ever want my community to feel that fear that there isn't enough food. I don't wish that on anybody. So I hope that by planting these seeds in gardens and community gardens and supporting our farmers, I hope by doing all of that, you know, we can create a system where we know that we're going to be okay.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that energy that you and Tristan have put in. It's been, you know, for us, we've been so focused on, in the coffee industry, coffee farmers out of country. You know, we work with the Coffee Trust in Guatemala, and so all along we wanted to work with a very passionate group locally here in Albuquerque, and so you guys have definitely fit the bill for us. And so whatever we can do to help. So let me ask you another side question. If we have leftover food, like we have some of our savories and things, is there a way for us to distribute quickly and safely? Do you know of any organizations that we could interact with to do that? Because it's, you know, resources is also time for us, and sometimes it's just hard to know where to go.
Yeah. You know, I have a ton of resources that, you know, you can take, you know, things like that. You know, like the Peace and Justice Center does a free grocery giveaway every Saturday morning. And gosh, I can never say this word. The Unitarian, is that right? Unitarian Church has a food bank every Wednesday. I can send you a whole list. And a lot of times they'll send shuckers to you. You know, to pick up the food to get it given out. You know, it was surprising to me years ago when we started this, and I share that with people. We did not know how to give away food.
Right.
You'd think it was easy, right? Like, oh, we have food, we'll just give it away. But it actually wasn't that easy, and we had to kind of figure out the system. And so I am always more than happy to direct folks. If I can't assist, I'm always more than happy to find a direction. Like, you know, let's not waste, you know, and let's share the abundance with people, and you know, share the love.
Well, for people listening, obviously you are extremely busy, but I just recommend anybody watching that wants to participate, donate, ask questions, definitely go to Food is For You Albuquerque. It's fifabq.org. Would it be best that they email you on questions? Is that the best way to handle things, or pick up the phone? What any way
that is best for
that person. Just
for that person. We really believe in meeting people where they're at. I prefer communicating through phone calls. That's my better communication. I'm a better communicator. But you know, some folks are better at communicating through email. So whatever's good for them is good for me. So
well, we'll definitely reach out is my suggestion then.
Mhm.
Erin, anything else that you guys are doing that you want to share? Is there any other projects that you have on the sort of the near horizon, or?
we do actually. We've got a couple. I'm gonna leave you hanging though.
Okay.
Because
we'll be talking more because, like you said, we're going to be working on a garden sponsor with you later in the season. We kind of had to put that a little bit of a shift on that.
Yep. But we are putting a garden in. So Trifecta Coffee was the sponsor for one of this year's accessible gardens, and then with COVID-19, we put a pause. To evaluate how to go about it safely. And so what we've decided as an organization and with Trifecta is to go ahead and install the garden space at that particular garden with only 2 volunteers, with no contact, social distancing in mind, because we're, you know, the whole program, the base of it is getting food to people. So we're going to go forward with the accessible garden. It's just going to look different. And then when we can all socially gather again, then we're going to have a big barbecue, and we're going to do all the beautification and all the things that we were hoping to do before the world changed. And then as far as new programming, so this Gift of Growing program was just exceedingly well received by the community. And because of donations and support, it's allowed us to really think outside of the box and think outside of the box. Maybe think inside of the box is more appropriate for this, but we have a really exciting thing that we are currently working on to be able to distribute on a different level. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be super awesome when we figure it out. We're working on prototypes right now, and you know, so once that news drops, like, that's going to be an exciting day, because you know, being, like I said, the donation of being able to work with lumber freed up our minds and our hands to be able to create something else. Right. That's what things like lumber does, is it gives us that space to come up with new ideas. And I think we've come up with an idea that Albuquerque and New Mexico is going to become quite familiar with for many years to come.
I like it. Well, leave us hanging. Well, you got my interest, so definitely. Well, Erin, I know you're busy. I've got to get back to roasting some coffee. Want to do this again. And thank you so much for spending time explaining what your organization's done. From my perspective, I couldn't be a bigger advocate. I just love what you guys are doing, and absolutely, just everybody, you got to check out Food is Free Albuquerque. You know, the funny thing is it's FIFA, right? I'm always thinking soccer, and I'm like, how do you say that? It's like FIFA, BQ. It's like, so, but anyways, it's Food is Free Albuquerque, FIFABQ.org. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Like, we love Trifecta, and you know, we love our local businesses. So I'm really happy that we have this partnership and we could take this time today.
Well, fantastic. Well, you guys stay safe. Happy Easter, and we'll be talking again.